Hello, good morning to all the viewers of this webinar. We are currently live via Microsoft Teams for today's session entitled Business Realities 2020, The New Normal in Retailing. My name is Regina Maurice Diaz and I'm a product specialist of Alliance Software, and I will be your moderator for today's session. Business Realities 2020 is a series of webinars that we will be doing weekly to discuss on the new normal and to talk about how Philippine businesses can continue to move forward from this pandemic. Now, we have three speakers for today's session, and we also have a Q&A portion on the last part of this program. I do have a few questions for our speakers, but I would like to invite all the viewers to write down your own questions in the Q&A portion of your screen. Now you will be able to find your Q&A icon at the upper right-hand corner of your laptop, your PC, or on the right part of your screen. So you will be able to find that some of our team later on will be picking some questions from the live audience at the last part of the program. All right, so before we start with our first speaker, here are some reminders. All right, so first of all, viewers are on listen-only mode, and you should have at least 5 Mbps, 4G or LTE internet. We would recommend to avoid opening multiple browsers so it does not affect your experience, and the webinar is recorded and it will be shared to the participants after today's session. Also, an exciting news, we have prepared some giveaways at the end of the program, so please stay tuned. All right, so without further ado, let me turn you over to our first speaker. All right, he is the CEO of Alliance Software, and he will be discussing some insights about the new normal in retailing. Let us welcome Mr. Robert Cheng.
Okay, good morning. Thank you, Maurice, for the kind introductions. So let me share my screen.
All right, sir.
Okay, so wait, I need to start the slideshow.
Yes, sir. Please start the slideshow.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir. We can now see your presentation. You may begin.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. So I'm sure I hope everybody's doing well, despite of the tough situation right now. So for this morning's presentation, I've divided my presentation to 3 parts, or my discussion to 3 parts. First part, I'll discuss about the retail supply side, how this current situation and how things would move forward in terms of the supply side for the retailers. Okay. The second part would be a discussion on the demand side, on how customers or and the future situation would affect the consumer behavior. And the last part would be the new realities moving forward. That would be, since the situation is quite unpredictable, so we're really looking at something perhaps between 3 to 6 months. That actually would be a very good time frame already to do some predictions. Anything beyond that is really very difficult to foresee at the moment. So the new realities, and of course, what are the opportunities that would face retailers, especially the local retailers in Cebu and around the Vismin area. Okay, so for the retail supply side, I think one of the key challenges, or one of the most obvious challenges, would be the logistical challenges. Okay, so there are, of course, a lot of government restrictions, as you've seen, from the different quarantine stages that we've gone through. No? So I think we're gonna go through another change by next week. So a lot of unknowns, a lot of restrictions. So moving goods between islands or between cities or even between countries would be quite challenging. And not only that, in terms of getting the goods there, since it's quite difficult and it's become quite a challenge, that would basically mean two things. One, of course, the supply would be erratic. And second, since goods becomes more scarce, obviously cost would increase. Okay, so that now goes to my second point, which is the higher operational costs due to tighter regulations and also to keep employees safe and productive. Okay, so there are actually two parts to this point. The first part I just explained, which is the higher cost due to related challenges in terms of moving goods around from point A to point B. And second is, of course, the higher cost in terms of keeping our team safe and secure, and also making sure that our organizations or our teams would comply to the safety standards given by the government. Okay, so let me give you one obvious example. For example, if let's say I think there's one ordinance right now from the IATF saying that there should be physical distancing in restaurants. Okay, so obviously once that's implemented, that would bring down the total number of occupied tables. No? So that would inherently bring up the cost of operations for most restaurants. A second example, another obvious example, is in terms of keeping your retail spaces clean and safe. So there would be a need to put in more, let's say, disinfectants, floor mats, and all those things. All those things, while it's good to do, would really mean an increase of operational costs. Okay, so number three is, of course, in terms of higher cost of raw materials. And this is mainly due to two things. Number one, again, due to the transportation costs, moving raw materials from point A to point B. And second really is the supply disruption. Okay, so even as early as January, there were already signs of this phenomenon, of this happening when China was shut down. So as you know, a lot of our supplies have been, in the past few years, been concentrated to a single source, which is primarily China, because of the objective of trying to get better scale and lower cost. So when China was effectively shut down in the early months of January and February, there were obviously supply disruptions, and in effect, the prices of a lot of the raw materials went up. Okay, so the next one, of course, is an offshoot of what happened in places like China. So the emphasis has been the ability for a lot of retailers to also source locally. Okay, so in the past years, if the goal or the how do you say it, a lot of the plans were done in terms of globalization and trying to concentrate and to build scale, and therefore concentrate some of the supplies to a few sources, but making sure that they can bring down the cost and produce in scale. The recent events have taught a lot of retailers and manufacturers, for example, to rethink and to have a change of mindset. Okay, so a lot of retailers and manufacturers right now are thinking of having backup sources, backup manufacturing facilities, and this will move towards more localized scenarios. Okay. So for the retail demand side, I think one obvious realization of a lot of people, and I don't think it takes a genius to realize this, is that the COVID-19 situation actually means a a lot of demand destruction. Okay, and this is really due to a weaker economy, a lot of restrictions, and generally fear among consumers like you and me. Okay, so I think for Cebu, for example, even the potential loss of tourists and incoming students from the Vismin area, I think those two potential events would also mean a lot of weak demand in the coming months. So I think everyone in the retail sector is really affected, no? Um, uh, and moving forward, there's really a lot of challenges in terms of the demand side. However, um, not all the retail sectors will be severely affected. No, there will be some quote unquote winners. Now, essentials such as basic food and home items would remain, and I think a lot of us have seen this during the actual lockdown period. Food items still remain to be strong because everybody, well, still have to eat. And home items or home items that can be consumed at home are also quite doing well. No? Secondly, would be also emphasis on health and well-being. Okay, again, from our experience during the more than 2 months of lockdown, we've seen that demand in pharmacies, drugstores remain. A lot of people remain and are more conscious of being of trying to be more healthy and live a healthier lifestyle. And this will go on for the next 3 to 6 months. Number 3 is a new phenomenon. No, again, this is from the experience of the 2 months of the lockdown. We've seen a lot of households, a lot of consumers trying to find new luxuries, even if these luxuries are small in nature, but it shows that they are willing to spend a little more for these luxuries. Personally, I think this is a phenomenon for a lot of consumers who felt that they've lost the usual luxuries that they have in life. For example, travel, eating out, going out with friends. So they try to look for alternatives. Maybe an expensive homemade delivered cake or pastries or food items or some items that they can enjoy and consume at home. Okay, so next would be the emergence also of new types of services. Delivery would be something that would be very in demand. Again, as seen by how things are going for the past 2 or 3 months, services will be more personalized. People would want to know, for example, where the items are made, where the items are cooked, where the items are prepared, just to ensure that they're on the safe side. Smaller group services and entertainment would be something that would be demanded. Again, this is in replacement for the lost large group entertainments like movies, sports activities, live events. IATF, for example, have given a regulation that there should be no groups more than 5 people that would be allowed. Sporting events will be limited to low contact sports, tennis, for example, or maybe chess. And there are already a lot of discussions that future, or at least for the next 6 months, sporting events would have practically no audience. Okay. So all of this is really an emphasis also on low touch. Okay. So consumers would demand still a level of experience, a level of quality, but they want this received and consumed on a low touch environment. Low touch meaning low physical interaction. So they would demand, for example, this would be something very similar to the delivery. So there are now protocols in terms of how things are delivered to make sure that there will be no physical contact between the, let's say, the Grab driver and the customer. Payments are encouraged to be digital. They don't want to handle cash because that would be a touch point. The other example would, or where we could get a lot of insights because this industry has actually made a lot of preparations already, would be in the travel industry. Okay, I'm sure some of you would have received some advisories coming from Cebu Pacific and Philippine Airlines, and you would see how they have made a lot of effort to make sure that the physical contact with the traveler and the airline would be as minimal as possible. So this type of uh, arrangements would also, I'm sure, would come into the retail, to the different retail formats. Okay, so what are the new realities and therefore the opportunities that we can face in the retail front? One new reality is that there should be some balancing between physical distancing and the need for foot traffic. Okay, so this is, I think, one of the biggest challenges for retailers, no? Because physical distancing and the need for foot traffic is on first look is actually quite like a paradox, no? So you want more people coming into your stores, but at the same time you don't want too many people because they might, you might forego the physical distancing. So the trick here, or the challenge here, is really to find a good balance. How do you optimize the number of people in your store or in your retail, and yet you make your clients, customers, comfortable that physical distancing is observed? And mind you, this is not only for our clients, this is actually also for our people working in your retail stores. Because once our people or our crew or our frontliner are not comfortable, then that's an even bigger problem for us retailers, because then you won't have people, you will forego your frontliners. Okay, so the interaction between the customers and the frontliners is actually something that's quite important. No? So how do you keep both sides comfortable? One way to look at it is really to see if there's a possibility of making the customer experience, to maximize the customer experience and yet minimize the interaction with the frontliner. Okay, the second point I'd like to make is that retailers who have already made the remote infrastructure, the branches, for example, the remote network, and are able to manage these resources and resources in terms of their people and the network and the branch network, would be in a very big advantage. No? Why? Number one, it has become more difficult to put up these branches. Obviously, with the travel restrictions, all those things, it has become, having those branches already in place means that you have a dominant position. Okay, but it's not only having them. The trick is also trying to make sure that you're able to manage them and maintain the customer experience that you had and what your customers, loyal customers, have already been expecting. Okay, some other opportunities are in terms of how people make use of technology as a driver. Okay, so with the physical distancing, I think, and again, from what we've seen in the past 2 months, the move is really to make the experience online. Now, a lot of people have made the mistake of choosing between, or have a mindset that it's a choice between virtual and physical presence, no? But the fact of the matter is, the future of retail is a combination of both. In fact, it's not a choice. It's trying to build the omni-channel. Now, omni-channel meaning you have several channels that allows you and your customer to interact, and of course finish the retail experience. No? So they could have, for example, for a typical restaurant, one channel would be the usual physical store, allowing them to pick up and perhaps have a limited dining experience. The other channel would be a web channel that would allow delivery, and another channel perhaps would be a mobile channel which allows people to order on the go. So moving online really is also a challenge is one of the goals also is to provide remote yet effective services. No? So how do you, for example, continue to do computer repairs or equipment repairs on a remote basis? So that's some of the challenges for retailers. And the last point again is in terms of digital payments. No? So once you have that physical distancing, the opportunity is trying to let your clients continue on transacting with us, with the retailers through the digital payments. And it's not only, and the digital payments is not only really trying to have that interaction with your customer. No, it's also interacting with your suppliers. Okay, so having those online payments and digital payments infrastructure in place would also allow you to continue on and working with your partners and vendors. The second thing that a lot of people are talking about is more automation. Now, how the automation would work, that's something I think people have to figure out yet. But I think really the goal for automation is trying to figure out what part of your operations can be automated. Again, and that's really the goal really is to um, observe that physical distancing. Obviously, if you have less people in your workplace, if you have less people in your preparation room, or let's say, for example, in the commissary, because things are now automated, then it is easier to manage the physical distancing um, challenges. Okay, so my last item is actually a something that I'd like to share as something hopeful, something that we can look forward to, give us some hope. This new reality also gives us an opportunity to identify or create new market trends. Okay, so I know this is something easier said than done, but we're here. So the challenge really is to adapt and make sure that early on we retailers can spot the new trends and make our and move our organizations to adapt to these new market trends. No? There are actually a lot of ways to do this, but I think one of the mindset that has come in during the past 2 months is how data has become quite important in terms of identifying new trends. No? So if you've read the news and see how the leadership in our country have been saying about tests and how decisions should be data driven. So I think that's one mindset that a lot of us retailers can actually adopt also to make sure that a lot of our decision making and the way we spot trends will be data based and data driven. So it's not like guessing anymore. Okay, so I leave you with a note and a challenge that to see this opportunity, no matter how grim, as a chance for reimagining your business and an opportunity also to transform your business and adapt to the new realities. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a good day.
Hello, good morning. Guys, good morning. I think we're
Hello.
having a
Yes. Uh, yes. So, thank you so much for that, Sir Robert. It was such a nice message. I believe that our retailers were able to get several insights, and it's I think one thing that that was very important for me personally was that these challenges in retail would be between, well, the balance between physical distancing and the need for foot traffic. I understand that, this is actually a call for our retailers to move online, via this delivery services and digital payments. And of course, given with the IATF requirements, it's very important for our customers to always be safe, and to, of course, for the retailers to, of course, implement minimum health protocols. So the demand will be driven by the delivery services that you have mentioned earlier, correct? And these are actually crucial points for our retailers in the Philippines. And it is good that you share this information so that they are up to date. We are all up to date with the trends, and we know how to adapt to them. Okay, so thank you for that. And for our viewers and for our listeners, I would also like to remind you that you can actually get a chance to win Grab Food gift vouchers. I would like to invite everyone to fill out the evaluation form on the link that will be shared to you. And our team will be picking up 20 random winners after this webinar session. If you can click the link now, you will be able to get the chance to win one of our Grab Food gift cards. All right. So I am very glad to hear the first speaker, and I'm even more excited to bring to you our second speaker for today. He's our business support supervisor for retail solutions. He will be discussing Operation Open Doors for Retail. Help me welcome Mr. Nino Gatdula. Sir?
Thank you, Reg. Good morning. Hi,
Okay.
Reg.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Uh, just give me one moment to share my screen.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, sir, I can see your presentation now.
All right. So, again, my name is Nino Gatdula. I'm the business support supervisor from Alliance Software. Our topic for this morning would be how do we prepare to open our doors to the market? One moment, please. Today's session will be focused more on of key topics to consider as retailers seek to reopen their business operation. As we slowly return to business, today's a guide on how to welcome your employees, your customers, and your vendors safely. In this session, we want to focus on three central topics. First, employee. In terms of employee-related guidelines, retailers must implement protocols to effectively limit spread of COVID-19 and to respond when an employee contracts the virus. As for health and policies, retailers should be adopting when they reopen their brick and mortar operations, such as enhanced cleaning and sanitation practices and the use of masks and PPE by employees, and specific employee training. And for operations, retailers must implement new signage requirements, revise fitting room and return policies, and implementing contactless payment options. So let's start with the employment. Well, some of these relations issues may be unique to COVID-19. Others will not be novel. But how an employer needs to respond very well may be. The first thing that we need to consider, the first thing that we need to consider is appoint return to work team. Consider HR IT, facilities, health and safety office managers, and senior management who can make company-wide decisions. Identify who can return to work and when. Consider timing issues, lead time of notices to provide employees and store capacity in accordance to our LGU guidelines. Determine how to handle refusal to work and request for accommodation. Consider issues around at-risk groups. People living with their parents above 60 years old is a good example. And plan for swift transition to human resources if certain discussion would require interactive uh, doc- conversation with your HR personnel. Establish well-defined protocols for dealing with suspected and confirmed cases of COVID-19. What specific information is the employee required to share? To whom should we share those information? Plan ahead the need to contact trace by limiting scope of employee contact, scheduling, limiting workspace. Develop protocols on how long an employee with suspected confirmed case of COVID-19 as well as individual in contact with those employees must remain away from work. A good example would be if you're a suspected POM, you are required to have a 14-day isolation. Consider how to respond if the contact is from a customer or a close contact of an employee. For employment, we must also consider screening and testing measures. Consider different screening processes and protocols, including questionnaires, self-certification, temperature, and symptom check. In particular, development of a protocol to limit the spread of COVID-19 and how to respond if an employee contracts COVID-19 is very essential in ensuring that our business would not be shut down by the local government unit. We must determine rules for visitors, vendors, and other workers in the workplace. Determine policies, practices, and protocols that will be applicable to customers, employees, and vendors. Create a plan of guide for employees engage with visitors, including customers who are not adhering to the requirement of the health safety office or the LGU Evaluate hiring practices and hiring needs in light of the COVID-19 situation. First, we have to evaluate if you need to hire new people or you need because of the sudden urge or surge of new orders for deliveries. You should also assess the ability of your HR team to handle remote screening and remote onboarding of new employees. Determine which workplace safety policy. This is very important as local government unit is likely to impose different requirement for mask and other PPE, social distancing protocols, and cleaning requirement, in addition to related notices. Include in your consideration the impact of social distancing and shared employee spaces such as break room. We have to consider that our employees should maintain the same level of discipline on social distancing, customer facing, or even during and consider potential changes in our schedules and duties, considering that some LGUs impose curfew and there will be significant adjustment needed depending on the store location. Now, for health policy, it is imperative that we follow strictly the social distancing approach. Important here is that we prepare proper notification or signages in conspicuous location all throughout the store, particularly high traffic areas such as entrances, exit, checkout, and fitting rooms. Asking customers, vendors, or employees not to enter the store if they are sick or have felt sick within the last 72 hours. Encouraging customer, vendors, and employees to maintain 6 feet of distance at all times. Floor markers are also important to guide the customers that are likely to queue. entrance exit or one-way only signs, recommend hygiene practices on how to stop the spread of the virus, health posters, request customers to temporarily cease using reusable bags or bring their own bags whenever they need to purchase anything from your store. Information and pickup for carry-out options and temperature screening. Important is the messaging that the store will have to say no to customers who did not meet the minimum requirement to buy or purchase. Consider also to add in-store audio messaging for customers to remind them on health guidance and physical distancing. For high-traffic retailers with checkout counters that do not allow adequate distance between the customer and the employees, important is to implement sneeze guards. This would help prevent the passing of the germs from the customer to the employees and vice versa. We must also consider the capacity imposed by the local LGU. Some would require us to implement distance marker that are located outside of the store, queuing while maintaining physical distance. Employees can also be assigned to assist customers while waiting to enter. To the extent possible, use point of sale and other workstation in staggered. Implement and encourage use of contactless payment option for employees, contactless signature for deliveries. If contactless signature for deliveries is not possible, require the employee to bring or use their own pen. Where possible, employee shifts and meal breaks have been staggered to avoid crowding. High traffic areas have been widened to extend the store configuration allows. These are examples of how fine dining and fast food restaurant will apply social distancing in are allowed to operate dine-in operations. For health policies, face masks and personal protective equipment is imperative. Uh, Encourage PPE, offer masks for customers who are not or does not have their own mask. Determine whether employees will be permitted to use their own face mask. And of course, designate trash bin for use face mask. For sanitation, obtain cleaning products in accordance with the DOH guidelines, cleaning kits that are available anywhere within the store premises, and implement strong and discipline regime targets, especially for items that are usually touched by the customer and by the employees. General equipment such as the counter, the POS, restrooms, and changing and most importantly, allow availability of hand sanitizer across or all throughout the store in check-in, check-out, and anything in between. Some of the guidelines offered by DOH for how to properly disinfect, how to properly create and mix your disinfection for stores. For health policies as well, we must put an emphasis on training, how to properly apply social distancing, how to monitor uh, self temperature at home before going to work, and how to properly wear and dispose PPE. Guidance on how to clean face masks and uniforms, as well as creating protocol on how to properly and effectively use cleaning supplies. For operation, this is actually when we go back to operation, distribution centers and store and supply chain must be ready. First, we have to consider which store should be operating. We have to consider economic analysis. We have to consider our relationship with our own tenant. We have to consider if we can negotiate or adjust our contract to allow extension or decrease of floor size. We also need to consider retrofitting our facilities. We may also need to consider need to impose more on over communicating our signages, particular to all our customers, to highlight health and social distancing. And we need to also adjust our working hours. Some of the local businesses that are implementing retrofitting their stores, some are using temporary barriers, and some actually have developed their own barriers. No, this one particular creator created their own pressurized takeout window that allows 100% uh, uh, allows 100% or contactless uh, relationship with the customer. Some stores may consider dark kitchen to convert their existing restaurants as a dark kitchen where they can actually process food for takeout and deliveries. Others may consider meaning their store that may not be doing well pre-COVID can become a repository or a warehouse for pay in store model or delivery model. For operation, there will be considerable effort needed to make sure that the store is ready, the facility are cleaned, equipments are all available with respect to the operation, as well as we must also notify our partners, distribution centers, to allow us to work with them on what are the items that can be delivered during this time. We must establish protocol for monitoring occupancy as well, meaning the number of people allowed inside the facility, and identify in-store screening. For security, we must consider revising our security protocol, particularly in handling anti-shoplifting procedures, as well as de-escalation, meaning for customers who would rather violate the store health policies, and to ensure that this is still following our social distancing guidelines. For operation, it's important to consider contactless shopping options such as queuing system for people that would be driving up to the store and waiting for online shopping or online customers. We must also consider contactless payment such as RFID, credit card, GCash, and PayMaya, as well as self-checkout and BOPIS and delivery services. For merchandise, the store may have to revisit the policies in handling returns and exchanges, especially how to ensure that the item is properly disinfected before it being returned to the warehouse or to the sales floor area. For fitting room, you may want to consider suspending fitting room, or if really necessary, ensure that the fitting room customer ready after the customer has finished using it. For fragrance and beauty tester, you may want to consider taking them off on the sales floor to avoid unnecessary testing by the customers. To wrap, my last slide, basically for operation, is to coordinate your needs to your suppliers, especially in handling PPEs and other important materials. Regular disinfection of items that are coming in and going out to different stores, and establish protocol in entertaining your suppliers and non-essential employees, such as notifying them on our reopening schedule and new policies, and implementing measures to ensure that their safety is also the priority when we start operating again. In summary, we just highlighted three main central points. No, how to ensure health of our employee, how to implement proper health policies, and how to apply those in business operation. Important for employees is that they feel confident that they are not being put at risk while reporting for duty, and important for customer that the facility is ready to accommodate their needs. And it's also important that we are able to sell and provide the products or services that we offer to our customer with the advantages of promoting contactless shopping. To simply put, the number one directive of store operation is safety for our employees, customers, and business partners or vendors. Again, this is Nino Gatula from Alliance, and thank you for your time.
Thank you as well, Sir Nins. Thank you for that. I think I believe that this part of the webinar was also very helpful. I believe that again, with Sir Nino's talk, we reiterated the importance of protocols, especially protocols for store frontliners, how to properly communicate to our customers in terms of doing the social distancing. This is something that we should always not forget, especially once these retailers, these stores start to open their doors again to us. And I hope that this part of the webinar had given our retailers enough reminders to follow certain, such protocols as mentioned. Okay, so for our viewers who are still staying in tune with us today, you can find the link of the evaluation form in the Q&A panel. If you want to get a chance to win the Grab Food gift vouchers, kindly fill out the evaluation form. It's in the right side of your screen if you can check. As well as I would like to encourage everyone to send in your questions in the same Q&A panel. So it's on the right. Okay, so for our third presenter, he is one of Microsoft's territory channel managers, and he will be discussing Microsoft's response to COVID-19 and Microsoft solutions for retail. All right, our friend from Microsoft, help me welcome Mr. John Nankil.
Hi, Reg. Good morning.
Hello, sir.
And
Yes,
thank you for inviting Microsoft to be part of Alliance event today, this morning. So if you will just allow me to share my screen.
sure.
Okay.
Okay, sir. I'll give you some time.
Right.
All right,
So,
I can see it now, sir. You may begin.
right. So good morning, everyone. And for those everyone who attending the Alliance event this morning. So I'd like to open up our discussion quickly. What is the most significant change you've seen in the world in the last 10 years? And probably you have one and several items that you have in mind right now. But I believe nothing compares to the last few months of what happened for the year 2020 can be compared to what happened for the last 10 years. So right now, everybody's talking about pre-COVID, COVID, and post-COVID, and what are the impacts to the business. And it is but just great to know that Alliance is doing this kind of events for their customers, so that we are all being updated to what is happening, what are we supposed to do, and how we should be able to kick back into our business. So that said, what is in terms of Microsoft in aligning to the retail industry or to the entrepreneurs, to the businesses? Microsoft's mission is really to empower every person and every organization on the planet so that we can achieve more. And technology is just the tool, and but more so we focus on the people. And together with both with these two, the value is the outright outcome that we are targeting. And for the last probably few years, we have been talking about digital transformation, and it has been the topic day in, day out for the previous years. And probably it was for a good reason. But with the situation that we are in right now, it has been apparent to businesses that they could have been more faster in terms of improving their digital transformation, as what our previous speakers, Sir Robert and Sir Nino, has mentioned, making sure that they are capable of doing continuity in terms of their business operations, in terms of the situation. Allow me just to share with you this slide wherein when Satya came into Microsoft, he he mentioned that every person or organization and every society reaches a point at which they owe to themselves to hit refresh. As what Sir Robert mentioned also earlier, it's easier said than done. So there's a lot of adaptation, there's a lot of configuration, there's a lot of buy-ins that needs to be done, and things are will never be the same. That's why even in Microsoft, we undertake our own transformation when he came in. So now, how does Microsoft is responding to the market or to the retail industry is during this COVID situation. So our thoughts are with the people affected and the medical professionals working around the clock. Yet we also hear from our retail industry customers around the world that the current situation creates new challenges as they work to handle drastic shifts in the demand, managing mandated store closures, and eventually continuing to meet evolving customer needs. So, with regards to the situation we have on hand here in Cebu, we have experienced these drastic changes for the last few months. Um, with an impact we're in because of the closures of the borders, we have an impact in terms of our own capability to uh, support. Now, our goal is to help the businesses in the retail industry during these challenging times. So I'd like to share with you a few resources. So this three-part response to COVID-19 was provided by McKinsey. So this is an insight on how to best frame up our various stages for COVID. So very specific to the retail industry. So I will not bore you in reading the slides, but in terms of how we're looking into this one, probably we can summarize it by amplifying how digital can become part of our new norm. How can the next normal be the new norm for everyone in the retail industry? And as we have seen in the previous weeks, days, there were a lot of people who were doing online, right? So, of course, there will be pros and cons also for doing that, but at the same time, how do we help them? How do we shape them? So, now, helping the retail industry rise to the challenge. This is where we look into the four items that Microsoft can help uh, customers. So, now that we have support, we are all working on and espousing work from home, remote working. So there will be a lot of challenges wherein the community of people doing their work from home will have to have a secure environment. So this is one aspect that the companies can provide their employees, and making sure that the cybersecurity compliance risks are also in place, so that the data that's coming from their computers in the homes, communicating with their servers, probably will be able to be on top secured. Then making sure that in the retail industry you have a supply chain, making sure that the business continuity, aggregating the data from procurement to logistics to delivery is data driven. So you are sure that from your stores to your customers from will be seamless. And of course, knowing our customers, here Microsoft can assist in reaching the customer understanding and insights with secure and internal data sources. So how does it help, right? The question, how does it help the businesses? So it provides availability of data that helps the business to evolve their cost, knowing the evolving of their customer needs. At the same time, they are capable of delivering an individualized interaction based on the different channels that they have. And lastly, they're also reimagining retail. So before, if there's brick and mortars, today there's all online, and people are looking into what they can buy, what they can get into. And as we have heard from other businesses and owners and entrepreneurs, they're all looking into how to unlock new revenues and opportunities at this point. So Microsoft also has their own store. We have our own brick and mortar store, but all of these stores currently are all locked down. So empowering our employees. So basically, we have the basic tool that we provide for this one that people can look into is Microsoft Teams. So this is where you can do a chat, you can do meet, you can call, you can collaborate in one place. And basically, we have a compiled list of expertise and guidance so that you can optimize your remote work environment. And at the same time, we have a comprehensive work from home guidelines. This guide is what we did for the internal employees of Microsoft, which you can also tailor to your organization. But best if you can look into the best partners that we have. And of course, because of this, you are sure that your data security or your security best practices are in place, which was shared earlier by Nino to make sure that all the data of our employees and of our customers are in place. And of course, in terms of delivering intelligent supply chain, basically, retail supply is grappling for humanitarian impact of the outbreak. And the new operational aspects because of COVID caused huge shifts, right? As what earlier shared. And it does not only impact the essential, but also the non-essential retail. So everybody has to work on that. Knowing our customers, of course, is allowing us to identify and adapt to their evolving needs. And basically, today will have a different need by comes tomorrow, and that's why you will see a lot of teams coming in from like for your schools becoming online, and for your retail becoming everybody's selling on that they can everything that they can do from their houses. So basically, this is what's happening right now. However, we all have to know that with the increase in terms of e-commerce, the platform itself can also be a tool for fraud, for fraudulent activities. And this is where the security measures that has to be in place for your company. And lastly, in terms of reimagining your retail, so basically looks into how do we make the experience for the customers right now that we have to have a different feel and look as they do their own shopping from their own stores. So basically, the one item that really has struck me was is building the customer's confidence of going back, buying out, and making sure that the economy stays afloat. So that said, we're just empowering retailers to achieve more. We have three items looking into integrity, trust, and scale. And you will see that there are three big companies below that has entrusted their model to with Microsoft. And basically, the question that everybody will ask: these are big companies, but basically, if Microsoft can cater to big companies, it can also cater to the small and medium enterprises, and making sure that you can avail of the integrity, trust, and scalability of the solutions. So these are the companies, just a sample, who ventured through the times of COVID and making sure that they are still capable of delivering to their customers. So that said, daghang salamat for your time, and hope I did bore you in listening to my presentation. I'll give back the floor to Rich. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Sir John.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for that wonderful message. So he is our third speaker and the last speaker as well. And based from I think his talk was very informational, especially for the available options that is open for our retailers. So I heard, Microsoft is ready to help the retail industry to rise to the challenge once we are back to the normal, or now that we are actually embracing the new normal. So, we can navigate the now, plan the comeback, we can shape the new normal even. So these applications include, as mentioned by Sir John earlier, Microsoft have crisis communication applications, even Teams. Teams is very popular nowadays. Even my team and I are using Teams, and it's very helpful in our situation. We also have MS Office 365, Dynamics 365 for supply chain and commerce, and all of these applications are capable of mobilizing store reopenings, and it can definitely help retailers. And should you have any questions, you can always, let us know, and you can even post it in the Q&A questions if you're interested in these applications that was mentioned or that were mentioned earlier by Sir John. Okay, all right. So I think that's it for our speakers, presenters for today. I would like to remind everyone that if you can evaluate us via our evaluation form link posted in the Q&A section, you will be able to win a GrabFood gift voucher. And we are also waiting for your questions in the live event Q&A, so that we will be able to address any questions or concerns or anything that you may want to ask our presenters for today. All right. So while waiting for the live questions, I do have some questions ready for our speakers, and I want everyone to also listen in and see if you can learn a thing or two from my questions. I will be starting with the Q&A will be, what do you call this? Right now, I'll be asking my questions, and later on, if we do see some of you posting some questions in the live event, we will be picking some of your questions, and we will address it to the speaker that is concerned. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to. Okay, all right. So I'll go ahead and pick one question. I think we'll start with Sir Robert. Okay. So let's start with the questions from the panel. For Sir Robert, I have one question for you. Okay, let me start. First question is, our food outlets have closed due to quarantine. How do we migrate to an online order and payment system?
Ah, okay. Thank you for the question, Maurice.
Yes, sir.
There are several ways, no? And then this is not to make a shameless plug, but the easiest way really for retailers to move from the old brick and mortar setup and add a new online facility or an online channel is really to partner with an IT company like Alliance. No? So what we could actually provide in Alliance is a lot of guidance and try to see what type of application or what type of software solution would be a good fit to what you have right now. Okay, so different retailers would have different needs. I don't think that there's a one size fits all solution right now. There may be a solution a basic solution that would fit, but whether or not there's a need to add more features specific to you, or and or if there's or you could live by the basic functions, that's something I think we need to determine and start a conversation on. The other thing also is the readiness of your organization in terms of infrastructure and of course in terms of the delivery and fulfillment capabilities also of your organization. Okay, so infrastructure obviously is something that we can help. It's something we can help you assess whether you're ready or not. On the delivery side, the physical delivery and fulfillment, it's a combination of your readiness, whether or not your people are used to it. You have the physical infrastructure in place also to do the deliveries and also the fulfillment. And some automation can also be done, but again, identifying which one would be a good fit is something I think we can immediately help and start a conversation on. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that, Sir Robert. So basically, you can initially assess the readiness of for example, infrastructure of our retailers. All right, thank you. So let me now go ahead and choose another question. This one is addressed to Sir Nino. Okay, Sir Nino. Let me say my question. If you are to highlight 3 key items for retailers to address before opening their doors, what would it be?
There are three primarily would be number one, safety of our employees, safety of our customers and vendors. Number two, in consideration of safety, to implement strong policies for all internal and external activities. And the number three, which is the most crucial part, is implementation and monitoring. So there should be a way to audit if these policies are being applied as expected. Those are the three core messaging that we need to highlight for the retailers before they start opening their doors to the customers.
Okay, thank you for that, sir. All right. So basically, implementation. I think for me, the biggest thing is implementation and monitoring, because you can always plan all you want, right? But the implementation is really the heavy. It's like for me, it's the heaviest part there. And of course, auditing properly, proper monitoring for all these policies that are being set, especially since this is now the new normal. All right. Thank you so much for that, Sir Nino. All right. For another question, I would like to address this to our third speaker, Mr. John. So, sir, how can Microsoft support the small retailers in the country, and who would be the best person to contact?
Oh, hey, Reg, thanks for that. In terms of how Microsoft support the small retailers, I'd just like to highlight that Microsoft has a strong partner community here in the Philippines, and basically we have Alliance, who's our partner here in the region, and that can assist on every Microsoft related products and services that any retail company that needs at this point. So all you have to do is reach out to them, and actually they can help you out, walk through to all the things that you will need one by one. And as we see that technology is an investment, so that we bring back the economy to its feet.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for that. Sir Nino, sorry, did you say something about who to contact? I'm sorry, I wasn't able to get that. Can
Yes,
you say that again, please?
they can contact Alliance
Okay.
directly for that,
Sorry,
because
sorry.
Alliance
Okay.
is capable of
So,
doing.
yes, of course. Yes, yes, yes. Of course, definitely. So our viewers for today's session will be able to contact us. We have our Facebook page. We are available in LinkedIn. We also have our website. So go ahead and visit all those platforms. You can readily contact us given our contact information in our contact us page. All right. So currently, I'm looking at the live event Q&A discussion, and I can see that we have a question, a very good one. So let me just go ahead and read it out loud. Okay, so the question goes, how can big box retailers leverage on existing technology to stay competitive amidst the COVID crisis? Can you cite specific examples? Okay, I'm not sure if this is being asked to a specific speaker. Who are we? Who do we want to answer this question? Can anybody from the speakers or any of the three of them can answer?
Maurice, I can answer that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, Sir Robert, go ahead.
Yes. For the big retailers who have already invested significantly in technology in the past years, I think this comes as an opportunity for them to further leverage on what they have. No, for example, the basic example would be most big box retailers would have their point of sale systems already in place. Okay, and these point of sale systems actually have been able to provide them with a lot of valuable data that they have accumulated over the years. Okay, so that's one. They could actually relook at how they can use that data, enhance it further, see if they could apply new types of technologies to further enhance the use of this data, business intelligence, BI tools, or even to an extent AI tools. The other way that we see happening, even pre-COVID, is how these retailers have made use of integration or allow integration to their existing applications in their company. Again, let me use the point of sale system as an example. For a lot of our existing users, we have, or existing clients for our point of sale system, we have made a lot of integration to a backend system, for example, an ERP, or an integration to several types of digital payments, even integration, let's say, to popular delivery services, no? Like Lalamove or Grab or Food Panda. So the integration would be very important so that the continuation of their current technology capabilities can be extended further to new types of uh, uh, digital services. The last part, I think, is something I want to stress, and I think I'd like to share also some of our personal experience here in our company. Many years back, I've always thought of our investments in business continuity and BCP in general as a pain. No? So it actually costs a lot and a lot of investment. No? So that was how I looked at it. And actually, when COVID happened, our preparations and all the investments we've made on BCP, moving a lot of our operations on the cloud, moving a lot of our capabilities, or allowing a lot of our office capabilities to be moved also to the cloud and allow work from home environment, have actually immediately paid off. Okay, without those preparations in terms of the not only in terms of the technology uh, investments and preparations, but also identifying people who are the leads in terms of identifying and monitoring all the BCP practices, no? Actually immediately paid off when we suddenly had this lockdown situation. No? So even in our current situation, Alliance, for example, majority of our people are actually working and have stayed productive. And I think it's the same mindset I think that I could share for a lot of retailers. No, so again, as what the other speakers have said this morning, this is an opportunity to reimagine your business, to transform your business. And I think with the lessons learned for the past 2 months, I think trying to ensure that the operations will be up and running at all times would be something worthwhile thinking and also doing. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Sir Robert. So from what you have discussed, I was able to take note of the three items. Now, just to reiterate it to the one who asked this question. So, what you said is to use data. Of course, retailers have a lot of data being stored based on, of course, their operations and all the things, all the data that comes into to the retailer, right? They must be able to use these data, even to some extent maybe they can consider AI. And another thing that I took note of is to allow integration of existing systems. So basically that even gives them a competitive edge if they can, consolidate and centralize or even integrate all the systems together. And of course, lastly, BCP. I think I believe that everybody, or even small businesses, would have to, for me, I would personally consider recommending having a BCP, or business process continuity. Thank you so much for that, Sir Robert. All right, so I just checked the live event Q&A again, and I can see that we have one more question. We have another one. Let me just read it out loud. And I would like to address this to Sir Nino. Sir Nino, if you can hear me, let me read the question. Data-driven decisions must first deal with data consolidation and integration, as it would need a lot of time, resources, and skills, which are not that easy for any company. How do we bridge this gap?
Okay, that's actually a question that has been thrown at us many times and in many different iterations. No, it just became more apparent right now because of the COVID situation. First thing and foremost is that there is no one solution for everything. I think we have to understand that each business is unique. How a business processes data is unique, and how a business uh, extract or consume the data is also unique. What we can provide, Alliance software, is to help understand the gaps. That's the primary. To help assess and recommendation, that's secondary, and to help implement the changes within the client's organization. Again, it has to be two-way approach. We help identify the gap, we help by recommending, and we help by implementing.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you so much for that, Sir Names. So basically, it's going to be a two-way approach, as you have mentioned, right? So the retailers will be able to the retail. We would recommend the retailers to also be cooperative. I think that's what I'm trying to say now. Be cooperative because we have to also identify gaps in between, and that's where we as providers can find the right way or the right solutions to help them out. Correct? Okay. All right. So I believe this will be our. I'm going to ask one more question. This will be my last question for this webinar, if I'm not mistaken. And I would like to address this to Sir Robert. Okay. Um, okay. So let me check. Just one more. Okay. Okay. Oh, I can see actually a few more questions, so maybe we can make some adjustments. We will try to address these questions as much as possible. So first, let me go to the new normal question for, I want to raise this to Sir Robert. How do you define this new normal in terms of timeline? How does this apply only for the next 6 months, a year, or will this last until another force disrupts the market?
Okay, thank you, Maurice, and thank you for the question. I think what's the most challenging thing about the new normal is actually defining it. No, so the new normal is actually evolving. So it's really difficult, as I said during the start of my presentation. It's very difficult to predict or even understand what the new normal will be. So actually, if you ask me, my opinion would be trying to look at the new normal between a time frame of 3 to 6 months would be something reasonable. Okay, because I think that is where that is the time the time horizon that would be most practical and considering how things are changing and evolving very fast. Now, if you go by what's published and what's being discussed out there, a lot of the experts are saying that uh, the more definitive normal or the time wherein we go back to a normal status would be the time when a vaccine would come out. And definitely, I think that would be a new chapter wherein a lot of us would be happy and a lot of us can then go in and participate more actively in the economy. But however, you need to realize that a vaccine is actually the medical solution of the medical end of this situation. What a lot of people may not realize is that there is a psychological end to this situation. So the next question would be, once the vaccine is out, how would most people react? How would consumers react? Would there be a new mindset coming in? Would there be a new buying pattern for most customers? Would there be a new supply chain that would be out because people, after going through this event, actually realizes that there are new ways there are new ways of doing things that are better adopted, and there are certain things that we've been doing in the past that are better left in the past because they're not sustainable. So again, there are quite a lot of things that would happen, and I think a lot of things are still evolving. So, in summary, I think looking at it on a 3 to 6 months time frame would be, and reassessing from there, from after that period, would be something reasonable to do. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, Sir Robert. Yes, I do believe that as we embrace a new normal, there will be new consumer behavior that will rise up, and I believe that aside, of course, it feels like the vaccine will be the end, and the fix for everything, but there will be for retailers out there. It will be a new it's going to be like a new dimension for the new behavior that will that will crop up, and a lot of other challenges as we embrace or as we start the new normal. All right, so all right, I'm going to pick one for Sir John. Sir John, I believe this would be addressed. I would like to address this to you for Sir Nino. Do we need to hire a safety officer? What would be the qualifications, sir?
Sorry, this is to John or to me?
Yes, yes, to Sir John.
Okay.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, yes. To
ah,
clarify, this is for Sir John.
yes. Hi, Reg. In terms of the safety officer, I, I'm not in the. I can only share based on what I been getting from as I sit with the board of the Chamber of Cebu. The safety officer will be something that every company will have to have as they try to operate moving forward. And this is not to be a new person or a new employee, but it can be somebody who's already internal to them. It can be somebody in the management level or in their HR who can ensure that all the policies, all the activities are in place prior to the running their operations again. And actually, it's good to for that question to be asked because with the I know Alliance is a strong partner of the chamber, and they can also look into how they can work together for the customers that we have right now, looking into this safety officer that they can implement for their own companies.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so I hope that we were able to satisfy and answer all the questions. We tried to we tried to address and to accept all these questions, but I think we have to also limit our engagement and our schedule for today's webinar. Okay, so before we end the webinar, I want to also um, thank everybody who had evaluated via our evaluation form link. And as mentioned earlier, I did promise that those who evaluated will have the chance to win the Grab Food gift card during the raffle draw. So to those people who have answered our evaluation form, we will be picking up 20 lucky winners of the Grab Food vouchers worth 100 pesos. So our team will be using a random picker so that we can choose the 20 lucky winners. Okay, so let's take a look first. So, okay, just give me a moment to check if we're going to be able to show you the random picker. All right. Okay. So if we're not going to, okay, are we still going to do the random picker, or are we going to just randomly choose from the evaluation list? Okay. One moment. Okay, here we go. Sorry for that delay. I guess the screen was a little bit of delayed. Okay. Okay, so we have here the list, a random winners from those people who evaluated. in our and who submitted their evaluations via our evaluation form. And I believe are these the winners? Sorry. Okay, so let me just confirm. Okay, sorry, I just got confirmation that these names are actually the winners of our raffle draw. So these people will be receiving a Grab Food gift card worth 100 pesos. Okay, congratulations to all the winners, and our team will contact you after the session for your prize. All right, thank you. Okay, so for our speakers, Sir John, Sir Nins, Sir Robert, thank you so much for your time in answering all the questions and sharing your valuable insights that could greatly help our viewers to succeed and lean towards keeping the business alive and thriving despite this difficult time. And a massive thanks to all the viewers for your active participation, and we hope that you will continue to tune in live to the next webinars, and that's every Fridays. So don't forget to like and follow our Facebook page, Alliance Edge, to keep you updated with our limited offers and future webinars. Again, thank you everyone and keep safe.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
A good day.